Hey, great. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Thank you so much for coming to this course and especially for coming to today's class. It's um it's a it's a very special class. Class 6, course 6. So but before we get started, let's set our motivation. So sit as tall in your chair or on whatever you're sitting on, as tall as you can, your spine straight, your breath relaxed, your shoulders level, your head on your body straight. Now bring to mind uh, what you know about the nature of suffering at whatever level that is, the physical or mental suffering, actual pain, the
Реально глибока
suffering
біль,
change, that even when good things happen, they always end. And then all pervasive suffering, the suffering of having to take on over and over and over and over again a life that is of suffering and pain. And that not only you have this experience, but we look around and we see that the planet is full of other people who have suffering. There's just so much suffering. If we really stop to think about it, we would weep. And given what we know about how things exist, how things come from what we have done to others in the past, that no one has a nature of suffering, of being in pain, of losing what brings them pleasure from their own side, including us, each of us. And if we could just see, just for a few moments, with a mind perfectly stable, the lack of a self nature to ourself, to me. We could break this cycle. We would start to break the cycle. And then it would be possible to reach a state where we could help, we could bring benefit to everybody else. Feel that wish, that desire to not only be free and completely, perfectly enlightened ourselves, but to do so that we can be of service, of benefit to everyone else, that they may also be free and join us in our paradise. May this class we're about to do together, may this class be a direct cause for that to come to be. And if you would like to join me in the prayers for class, please do. Sashi Puki Chukshin Meto Tram Rira Lingshi Ninde Gampadi Sangye Shindu Mikte Owarki Dokun Namdak Shingla Chuparsho Idam Guru Ratnam Manalakam Niryatayami Sangye Chidan Soki Chuknam La Changchu Parto Dakni Kapsuchi Daki Chishe Kipe Sunam Ki Jola Pinchir Sangye Juparsho Sangye Chidan Soki Chuknam La Changchu Parto Dakni Kapsuchi Daki Chishe Kipe Sunam Ki Jola Penshir Sangye Juparsho Sangye Churan Soki Chuknam La Changchu Pardu Dakni Kapsuchi Daki Chushe Kipe Sunam Ki Chola Pinchir Sangye Juparsho. So before we get started on this class, just in case, does anyone have any questions from previous classes? Alrighty then, here we go. Put on your seatbelts. There's going to be a lot we cover today. You bring back a chat. Come here, chat. Okay, so in today's episode of the Diamond Cutter Sutra, the Buddha turns to Subhuti and says, Subhuti, when a stream enters the stream, do they think to themselves, I've entered the stream? How do you guess, given what we've done so far, that Subhuti responds? How does Subhuti answer? No, yeah, good guess. Subhuti says, no, they don't do that. What happens at the same moment that a person enters the stream? What does it mean to enter the stream? I think I briefly mentioned this earlier on in the course. But yes, thank you, Nguyen. They see emptiness directly. Seeing emptiness directly, you have entered the stream in that, and you are on the path of seeing, the third of the 5 spiritual paths. Entering this stream means that, as we enter a river, if it's a flowing river, when we enter the river, it's going to take us to where it's going. So when we enter this stream, through seeing emptiness directly, we are going to reach nirvana or enlightenment, depending on what our motivation is. And when we enter this stream, we become someone different. We become an Arya. An Arya. In Tibetan, it's Pakpa. Say Pakpa. So when we've talked about all these planetary systems, those of 1,000 planets, and then the second world order, those that have 1,000 like galaxies of 1,000 planets, and then the third order world system where there's 1,000 of those. So a third order world system with 1 billion planets filled with people, all kinds of beings, not just humans. Of all those people, we can say that each one of them is either one of 2 kinds of beings. They're either an Arya or they're not. They have either seen emptiness directly or they have not. It's a huge division between beings. When we see emptiness directly, we will become a totally different class of person. If we see emptiness directly, with the wish to become enlightened in our hearts, we join a whole different family. We join the family of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And we become totally different than what we were just the moment before we sat down. So Arya, one who has entered the stream. And then the other type of person is called Soso Kiewo. Say Soso Kiewo. Soso Kiewo. And this type of being is an ordinary being. So when we see in the teachings, or we hear in the teachings, talk about an ordinary being, what we're talking about is someone who has not seen emptiness directly. So it's just that one or the other, very clear. One prerequisite to become an Arya: see emptiness directly. The Sanskrit for an ordinary person is really hard to pronounce. And I apologize to all of you who know Sanskrit. It's something like Pratakjana. Pratakjana. That's hard. That's a retroflex R. It's a tough one. So before we see emptiness directly, our time in the cycle of suffering, our time in samsara is like indefinite, unlimited. We will continue to cycle and cycle and circle and take birth after birth in suffering until we see emptiness directly. No one can tell when, except for a Buddha, you will become enlightened. You will become enlightened because what keeps us in the cycle of suffering is a mistake. It's a simple mistake. So it cannot last forever. Simply cannot. So we're going to talk today about what the prerequisites are for seeing emptiness directly and what that experience is like. I have not had that experience. I can only share with you what those who have told me. My motivation is that I pass it along perfectly. So it is of benefit to you in your reaching that state as well. Okay. The moment we see emptiness directly, so not only are we a new kind of being, but we become two of the what they call ratna. or koinchok in Tibetan, which means 3 jewels. We become 2 of them. So the 3 jewels are Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So we don't become a Buddha when we see emptiness directly. But we do become Sangharatna. We do become Sangha. Now, normally, we think of Sangha as someone who wears monastic robes. The people who have taken the vows and are a monk or a nun in this tradition are not the ultimate Sangha. They are the like nominal Sangha. They are Sangha in name only, even though they have the vows. Because the ultimate Sangha is that community of beings who have seen emptiness directly, that a community of Aryas. So when you see emptiness directly, you become a Sangha Ratna, whether or not you have taken the vows of ordination. You've also become a Dharma Ratna. You've become a jewel of the Dharma, a jewel of the Buddhist teaching. Because you have the experience of having seen emptiness directly in your mind. You've had that experience. But we still have some way to go before we become a Buddha Ratna. Could be this life, could be sometime over the period of 7 lives, could be sometime over, we talked about before, I think in this course, about 3 countless eons, but we will become a Buddha Ratna. We have entered the stream. Now, what are the prerequisites? What do we have to do or have done before we can see emptiness directly? We've talked about the path of seeing being the 3rd of 5 paths, right? So there are 2 paths. Geshe Michael says, 2 mountains we have to climb before we can get to the valley of the 3rd path of seeing emptiness directly. So we're fortunate, at least I feel very fortunate. That's why I'm attracted to this path. It's because the teachers have laid it out so clearly, long rim. Like, here are the steps. Do this and then do that. And this will lead you to your goal. This will take you to your goal. I feel so fortunate. So the first path, the path of accumulation, is the big. When you reach the path of accumulation, you have Ngenjung. Please say Ngenjung. It's a tough word. Ngen Jung. Ngen Jung. And that means it's an abbreviation of Nepar Jungwa. Ne means definitely, certainly, for sure. And Jungwa means to come out. To come out. So definitely come out. It ultimately refers to nirvana and Buddhahood, as in coming out of the realm of suffering and coming out of a lower nirvana. So to come out means to end your suffering. That's one meaning of Ngenjung. The other meaning of Ngenjung is Raptu Jungwa. Say Raptu Jungwa. Raptu means really, really. Jungwa, you see, it sounds the same, sort of. This one has it like if there were an open vowel in front of it. Here we had the R, so there was no open vowel, so it was Nepar Jungwa. Here, when we abbreviate the phrase to Nge and Jung, because it ends with an open vowel, A sound, then we add in, you see, we added in this N. That's why we had to add in the end, is prenasal, Ngenjung, which made it hard to pronounce. Here, we have no apostrophe before the Jungwa. So it's a different form of the same word. And here, what it means is left. So, Rabtu Jungwa, really left, really gone away. And what this phrase is talking about is leaving the home life. Before a person becomes a novice, monk, or nun, they take some, there's a ceremony that you do with some vows of leaving the home life. You leave the home life first. And the vow is, I agree to leave the home life. I will leave the home life. Back in the day in Tibet, no longer. But like in my country, very few places where monks or nuns live together in community. But some places in Asia, especially, I went to a lovely place in Vietnam where people have left the home life together to be together. So the second meaning of Ngenjung is to leave the worldly life. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to become a monk or a nun. That's not what this means here. It means it means renunciation. It means to no longer be intellectually taken in by what we thought before about what brings us happiness and what brings us pain. When we leave worldly life, we no longer chase after pleasure from things in this world. We know that a great job or an excellent financial planner or beautiful body and lovely clothes and a beautiful house and the best car. We know that those things don't bring us happiness and could never bring us happiness. We're finished with being part of that. We call it in this country rat race, where you work and work and work to make money so that you can buy things that you then have to maintain and protect. So you have to keep working and working. And so you're just spending your whole life working to have and take care of things, which is just ridiculous. So it's renunciation is also the first of the three principal paths. If you have taken ACI Foundational Course 1, we get into the three principal paths. This is the first one, renunciation. And it also, renunciation means reaching the first path of the 5 paths, the path of accumulation. So reaching the first path of the 5 and getting true renunciation, that's the same thing. You can't reach the first path without renunciation. And when you do have it, it is by having gotten renunciation, leaving the worldly life. Now, what's the relationship between the first path, having renunciation, path of accumulation, and the third path, which is the path of seeing, the path where we see emptiness directly? Geshe Michael says that to see emptiness directly, you will have to have left the worldly life. It's not just Geshe Michael who says this. This is throughout the Buddha's teaching. Our life that we have now is so very precious. And it's so very short. The life we have now, if you are who you appear to me to be, you're a human being, you are obviously well fed and well clothed and well housed and well taught. You have teachers sharing with you the Buddha's teachings. You are all, seems to me, at the prime age, full of energy and life. This is a very rare and short-lived place to be. And it is from this place, as this kind of person, this kind of being, that we have to be in order to see emptiness directly. Animals, impossible. Hungry ghosts, hungry spirits, impossible. Hell beings, impossible. They don't have a moment's peace. Even in the Deva realms, the Devas and the near Devas, they're too blissed out and happy to see emptiness directly. They're too into their I want the bliss of just a single pointed mind. It's only where we are right now that we can do this. Now, we don't have, because this life is so short, we don't have the mental or physical time to waste on things that are not going to be of service to us in seeing emptiness directly. We don't have time. We don't have time to devote ourselves to worldly things. It takes time to maintain worldly life. And we won't have the time to devote to the meditation. Our mind will, the more stuff we have, the more it takes up a little space in our mind. It takes up some space. We're like, we know where everything we own is. Like that is living in our mind, you know? I know about all the things in my kitchen, my refrigerator, in my living room, in my bookcase. I know about all those things. And that kind of knowing, and I know I have to take care of these things, and that takes space in our mind. It takes time away from us. So again, we don't have to become a monk or a nun. We don't have to divorce our spouse, leave our children, leave our job, become a beggar on the street in order to see emptiness directly. We do not. The Buddha did, but that he was showing one way. We should have developed that attitude of understanding that the things that appear to us in our world are not the things that are going to allow us to get out of this world. So it's a sort of, it is a wisdom for sure. And it's also a kind of attitude of keeping that wisdom like at the forefront of our minds as we go through our day. That, you know, am I enjoying this cool, clean water? Is it refreshing? Does it bring me happiness? No, absolutely not. It has absolutely nothing to do with feeling refreshed now. I feel refreshed because I offered water to someone else in the past. And that's now why I have the experience of this being for me something that refreshes and seems to somehow brighten my mind. There's nothing about this at all that has anything to do with that. Nothing. So you have that sort of in your mind uh, throughout the path of accumulation. Worldly efforts are useless. Worldly efforts in the sense of, again, thinking that things are the way they are from their own side. And that if I just vote for the right political candidate, or if I just make donations to the right kind of charity, that will be the end of, hunger on the planet. Like as if just, all I have to do is give money, all I have to do is vote the right way, that there is some right thing to do. If we're living like that, we're living in a worldly life, in a worldly way. If we're thinking that things are the way they appear, if we think that there is a right way to solve problems that exists out there, we're living a worldly life. We may create some good karma, like if we just someone who's generous without wisdom, someone who's generous is creating karma that's going to ripen into some little bit of generosity. It'll ripen into some future experience of receiving something from somebody. But it could be so much more than that. Our generosity done with wisdom could remove poverty from the experience of all living beings. Not just getting a birthday present. Like, oh, my favorite album, how cool. No, this could have been the end of poverty. Anyway, okay, enough about that. But it is serious. We do have to work on that understanding of where things come from, and that things in our world are not the things that bring us pleasure or bring us pain. They simply aren't. If we can use the life we're in, the family we have, the partner we have, the job we have, we can use the so-called mundane or worldly things. We can use them in a spiritual way. We can live our lives. This is why I think Geshe Michael is so keen on having us think about, okay, here's some teachings. Now, how do you live this in your life? How do you bring this into your heart? How do you practice this every day? It's so we can do this so that we can have renunciation, so that we can be on the first path, so that we can be creating the causes we need to create in order to see emptiness directly. Because living our lives with this, with renunciation, with this wisdom, we can create very powerful karma. So any of those teachings where you get an opportunity to think about and talk about, okay, how do I apply this teaching in my day-to-day life? Be sure to attend those groups. Be sure to think about it. And then be sure to do it after class. Apply what you've learned to your life. Don't allow yourself to be we have this idiom in American English called bamboozled. Bamboozled. Don't allow yourself to be tricked into thinking that, oh, if you just had the best job, or oh, if you just had this car, everything would be better. No, that's not the thing. Okay. That's the first requirement, renunciation. The second requirement is related to, this is the Tibetan word for path of accumulation, tsokla, just so you know, those who are interested. The next path is called Jorlam. Say Jorlam. If we don't reach this path, impossible to see emptiness directly. So Jor means preparation, to prepare. And Lam, of course, is path. So in this path, we are gaining an intellectual understanding of emptiness. We go to teachings about emptiness. We're doing the analytical meditations on emptiness. We're becoming very familiar, for example, with what all the different Buddhist philosophical schools say about what emptiness is. We understand how they relate to each other and how one may be a more correct understanding of what emptiness is. What is the correct understanding of emptiness? What are not the correct understandings of emptiness? We know all these things intellectually. The main part of Jorlam, of the path of preparation, is we've done all this study, we've developed this intellectual understanding of emptiness, and then we apply it to our lives in the way of understanding how it is that things appear to us. Understanding that how our experience of the world happens. Like we talk about, we do positive things, we benefit others, we serve others, we plant seeds. Those seeds ripen into our future experience. But what does that ripen into our experience? What is that? What the heck does that mean? So we we spend time on this idea of understanding, and then at the end of the path, seeing directly, having the experience of watching our seeds ripen into an experience, being aware of seeds ripening into our experience. So this sort of, I don't know what you want to call it, topic or theme, or about how it is that seeds ripen into our experience, that's called Chichedra. Chichedra. Say chi, chedra. Chichedra. It's a difficult concept, and it's covered in a couple of courses, but most in depth in course 13 of the ACI courses. So chi, that means a quality or general. And we're going to get to what Chedrak means in a moment. But first, we're going to talk about chis, because there are 4 different kinds of chi. 4 different kinds of quality. The first one is called a tsok chi. Say tsok chi. Tsok chi. Tsok means a collection. Sometimes you hear people say, "Oh, I'm going to go do tsok tonight." If they're gathering with their friends to do a practice together, that's a tsok. It's a collection. So this is tsok chi. This is it is a kind of chi, most definitely, but in terms of our understanding of how it is that seeds ripen into an experience, it's the least helpful. It's the least important. So this refers to, if this is general or quality, this is referring to a whole thing composed of parts, a collection of parts. So this thing, this whole thing, for us, probably just for me, because you guys can't really see it, but is a pen. So pen is the whole thing, and then it's got all these parts. It's got an inkwell. It's got a little spring in there. It's got this little thing so I can put it on my collar. It has all these parts, and all these parts together, collected together, are the whole, are the pen. Or we can talk about a human body. My whole body is a collection of parts: torso, arms, legs, head. So that's a tsok chi. So if someone were to ask you on your homework, you can say that an example is like a body. The body is the chi, is the whole, the quality, and then it's a collection, or a tsok, of things like arms, legs, torso, head. The next kind of chi is called Rikchi. Rikchi. And this one is very important. Rikchi. Rik means type or kind or characteristic. And chi means, general or quality. So we call this one quality and characteristic, Rikchi. Rikchi. So, for example, we can have a chi, a quality, car. Or let me use a different quality. We can have the quality motor vehicle. Motor vehicle. And a motor vehicle, the various rik, the various characteristic of that quality would be cars, motorcycles, scooters, electric bicycles, trucks, cars that run on gas, cars that run on propane, or vehicles that run on propane, vehicles that run on sunlight. We have all these different kinds or types of motor vehicles. So the chi here is it's the label of like the group of things we're talking about. The group of things that have the quality motor vehicle. What are the things we can call a motor vehicle? And then it's made up of those things that are characteristic of that quality, right? The quality motor vehicle is made up of things that are motor vehicles, types of things that are motor vehicles, cars, trucks, things that have a motor that take you from here to there. Okay. And how is this important? Like this is an important aspect of the way we perceive our karma ripening, or what's going on that we perceive what we do. So I'm looking on my screen, and I see, I want to stop this for a second. I want to see more people. Oh, good, you're still here. I look on my screen, and oh, I see there's Win. Now, how do I know that's Win? Oh, she's interpreting today. Yay. How do I know she's interpreting? What is it about what I'm perceiving that I know that's Win? And she is doing live translation right now. what makes me identify what is just color and shape on my monitor as when? Well, even first, what makes me identify those colors and shapes as a person? I'm only seeing like this little bit. But I'm thinking that's a person there. Each little box has a person or an avatar. I see some avatars. But I think there's people behind them. So it's not just it's not just the general characteristics that I'm gluing together. And we're not going to get into this very deeply today because there are a lot of prerequisites to seeing emptiness directly. And I also want to talk about the whole path of seeing and then what happens next. So this is just to give you just a little taste of what Rikchi is, which is making distinctions between what is the general category of thing when I'm looking on my screen and I'm seeing people, human beings, and a couple avatars. And there are these individual ones. There I see Julia, I see Wang Wu, I see Huang, I see, oh, there's An, I see Koi, I see individual people who are characteristic of human being. And Tin is showing up as characteristic of an avatar, of a cartoon. But I know that he's back there somewhere. Okay, so that's the Rikchi. Then we have something called the third kind of chi, the third kind of quality. Here, actually, chi in this particular one and in this one, the dunchi, the next chi, the third and fourth chis, chi means mental picture, mental image. So these are also important in terms of understanding our perception, but the big one is Rikchi. The big one is quality and characteristic. But anyway, we'll talk about these. Dunchi. So dun means an object, right? Here it means an actual object. And here, in this kind of chi, it represents an object that you have a direct experience of. So, for example, I have a direct experience of when I have met her in person. So when I think about when even when she doesn't appear on my screen, I am having a dunchi. I am having a mental image in my mind of something, someone here, that I have seen before. When I look at that funny little avatar I am having a dunshi of tin because I have met Tin in person. I look at that avatar and it has those little characters underneath the avatar, and I go, oh, Tin. So I have a mental image of Tin, even though he's not appearing there anywhere. I still have the mental image of Tin. So dun means an actual object that you have actually directly experienced. So if we talk about, well, we'll talk about this one next, and then we'll talk about the comparison. So this last kind of chi, a dra chi, is dra means literally it means sound, but here it means word. And this chi is also a mental image. So this is a word mental image. And what this means is so let's take, for example, I see Julia on my screen, and she's obviously doing some interpretation because her lips are moving after my lips move. So I've never met her directly, but I've seen a picture of her, and I've seen a video of her doing this live translation. So I have a mental image in my mind of Julia. So that is a drachi. It's the mental image of something that you haven't seen directly, but you've heard about, or you've seen a picture of, or someone told you about. Like, oh, if you heard about that restaurant downtown, best food ever, you don't have a dunshi of that restaurant because you haven't been there, but you have a mental image that, oh, it must be a good restaurant because my friend says it's a good restaurant. That's a drachi. You have a mental image that's based on something you heard or saw a picture of. So those are the four kinds of chi. So in the path of preparation, we're spending time refining our intellectual understanding of emptiness, and we are meditating on chi chedra, on quality and characteristic. We are investigating on the meditation cushion how it is that we have the perceptions we do, what's going on there. We're testing it as we walk through our daily life. Oh, that's a quality and that's characteristic of this kind of quality. We're getting ourselves very familiar with what Chichedra, quality and characteristic, are. And then in the path of preparation, which is the path right before the path of seeing, we have an experience that's called chuchok. Chuchok. Chu means Dharma, and chok means supreme or ultimate. We have an experience of ultimate Dharma. Now, this Remember, we talked about there's two kind of beings: so-so-kewos, ordinary beings, and Aryas, pakpas. Chuchok, for an ordinary being, the highest dharma for an ordinary being, the highest level of existence for an ordinary being is this experience, and that I'm going to describe, which is the description of someone who has been at that peak. And I consider authoritative. In the last hours of the path of preparation, you have an experience of seeing, or I should say understanding, realizing that what you're seeing is a mental image that you are mistaking for an actual object. You are looking at, just to be silly, you are looking at this avatar, this mental image of an avatar, and you are mistaking it for tin. You have a mental image of a glass of water. It's only about this big in your mind, right? It's very tiny. And I'm mistaking that for what I'm holding in my hand. We are seeing as mental images, the mental images that are coming out of our seeds as they ripen. We recognize it. We see finally that we're taking colors and shapes, and we're throwing a mental image onto them, and that mental image sticks to those colors and shapes and becomes that thing for us. We see it happen and we go, whoa, wow, I'm seeing a deceptive reality for the first time. I've never seen deceptive reality before. That is dependent origination. That is the expression of dependent origination. How things appear to us is independence on the ripening of our karmic seeds. We see that. Then we go into deep meditation. We put our minds at the level of the form realm called Michokme, which implies a third prerequisite, which is concentration. We must, like, there's no debate about this in the scriptures. We must have our minds in the state of shine, shamatha. And we cannot reach that state of meditation unless we are meditating every day for a total of an hour. Doesn't have to be all in one sitting. We can spread it out throughout the day. But we are bringing our minds to a place where the mind is bright, happy. The body is bright and happy. And we place our mind single-pointedly on one object and hold it there unwaveringly. No distractions, we have withdrawn our physical senses. And all we have is the experience of our object of meditation. We can put our minds in that kind of state of meditation. So we have that ability to do that. And we then have as our object of meditation the lack of a self-nature of me. In that state of meditation, in that level of meditation, it's like they say, chula tu shakpa. And I'm running out of time, so I'm just going to describe what it is, which is like water poured into water. Like water poured into water. It's not emptiness. You can have this with any object of meditation, right? But this, another way of talking about this is some people have translated this as non-duality, which is very easy to misunderstand. So we're going to talk about the two correct understandings of non-duality and some incorrect understandings of what non-duality is. So the first kind of non-duality that is correct, Ninang Nupa, means the appearance of two things, meaning me and the object I'm meditating on, subject, object, those two, the appearance of those two, nipa, disappears. Normally, as I'm going around life, I have an experience of me going around life, right? I have the experience of me walking. I have the experience of me eating. I have the experience of me typing on the computer. And in meditating, there's an experience, if I'm not in that state, that highest state of meditation, I have the experience of me meditating, me and the object of my meditation. So at this point, non-duality, one meaning of it is the appearance of there being two different things, subject and object, disappears. The only thing that appears is the object. That's it, nothing else. You will see on your answer key that they call this Ninang Mepa, which is a slightly different phrase than what Geshe Michael taught when he taught this. So you can use that, but this is more, I think, why he used it is it's more descriptive of what's going on. Ninong Nang Nupa disappears. This just switches out Mepa for Nupa, and Mepa means there is no. So here there is no appearance of two, and that's fine. That's accurate. Here, though, saying that it disappears, you get to tell that story of how it normally feels when you're not in that state, that there is some appearance of subject and object, and that disappears. You are so engaged with your object that you disappear. There's just the object. Anyway, that's my personal opinion. Then we have nyam ni, which is a hard word to say. This ni is different from this ni. This ni is two. This ni is like it has to do with like, well, let me just describe what nyam ni is. That's easier. Nyam means equal. Ni means it's sort of like, it's talking about a thing that it is, but that's not exactly it. So don't write that down. But together, nyam ni means totally equal. Totally equal. Not totally the same. Totally equal. And what it refers to is, again, subject, me, the meditator, object, the object of my meditation, what I'm meditating on. These two are totally equal. And they're totally equal in the sense of having emptiness. They are non-dual in the sense of being equally empty. Okay. I should find the chat. Okay. Okay, now I got to really race. Oh. Okay, so your object on the path of seeing, of course, is the lack of a self nature of me. It's an absence. So you are in meditation. Your mind is at the preliminary level of the form realm. Your object is the absence, the lack of self-existence of me. At that state, at the non-dual state, the appearance of there being a me, meditating on that absence disappears. There is just the absence. There is no thought at all. There's no conscious thought. There's no physical or mental sensations. There's just the experience of that absence. That's it. Nothing else. What non-duality is not is it doesn't mean that you and emptiness, you and your object of meditation are somehow one thing. It doesn't mean that you melt into the object or something like that. We are a positive, changing thing, you know? There's a way we can divide reality, all existing things in reality, into two. And that's those things that are changing and those things that are not changing. They're two distinct. Both those two things belong to the category or chi of existing thing, but they're two distinct chedraks. They're two distinct manifestations of things, sets of things, changing and unchanging. And when when we are in the direct perception of emptiness, there is no, it's impossible for you, a changing thing, to somehow become an unchanging thing. You don't become unchanging. No, you are having an experience of an unchanging thing. And that's all that's going on. The only thing going on is that experience of an unchanging thing. There's no perception that, oh, I'm meditating. There's no perception of, I saw emptiness directly. No, there's no thought like that. There's no like, oh gosh, I've been in the direct perception of emptiness for half an hour now. No, there's no concept of time. There's no concept of anything. There's no concepts. There's just the experience of the absence of self-existence, of me. That's it. The second half of the path of seeing is called Jetop Yeshe, which means the wisdoms that we realize after. Jetop means to realize after, and Yeshe is wisdom. And there are a great number of these wisdoms, and I wish I had another half an hour. I can't believe it. Okay, so I've got to take a half an hour of our next class and continue on, because I don't want to start this without finishing, this whole long list of the different wisdoms, some of them that you will have while you're still on the path of seeing, but you're now out of your meditation. You're now you can say, I just saw emptiness directly. Whoa. And things are starting, you're starting to have experiences, you're starting to have realizations about things, about how things work, that are just popping in your heart, in your mind. And I can imagine it's like, ooh, can't wait. Okay, so we've got 3 minutes. Does anyone have any questions about what we've talked about so far, which is the first 2 paths of the 5 paths and the first path of the path of seeing? Oh, look at this very long question. Once Geshe Michael said that there's a close relationship between Rikchi, and Rikchi again is the quality and characteristic, right? Like motor vehicle as the quality and characteristic being cars and trucks and so on. So that there's a close relationship between Rikchi and Dunshi. And Dunshi, remember, is the chi where we are having a mental image of something that we have directly experienced. I'm having a mental image of Koi because I have actually met Koi in person. Okay, so there is, Geshe Michael says there's a close relationship between Rikchi and Dunshi. And in another class, he said Dunshi is one kind of Rikchi. Ooh. And in another class, he said Chi is Chedra. Ooh. And now this is getting into some complicated, I have to really think about this, even to understand your question, Wangbu. So actually, there's a lot of information going on in my mind. Yeah, mine too. And I understand that today we're not going so deep, but I have no idea how to think about this and how I should meditate to have a deeper understanding. Okay, so have you taken course 13? The course on logic? That's oh, you've taken that course. Excellent. Um, do you have, yes, please finish that course because they will talk about that directly. Also, in Adam Andrade's book that came out recently, let me find the exact name so I get it correctly. It's about Chi Chedra. It's about quality and characteristic. What is the name of it? It is called A Door to Emptiness. A Door to Emptiness. So if you look for that on the Diamond Cutter Press site, you can get an ebook. You know, if it's legal for you to do so in your country, you can get an ebook. It's not so expensive. And in there is some discussion about quality and characteristic. And I just have to say, I'm a minute over. I want to copy your question so I can think about it some more. That this is a very challenging topic, very challenging to wrap our minds around. We are so used to thinking that things come to us and that they don't come from us. We learn that things come from us, but then, exactly what's going on, that's more challenging. It's hard to think about something we haven't yet seen. We can describe emptiness. We can talk about what emptiness means. We can get a clear intellectual understanding. Chi Chedrak is more difficult, I think, than emptiness to understand intellectually. We have to spend a lot of time just having one question and walking around our world and saying, okay, what's a chi? What's a chedra? Where is there a chi? What chis am I looking at? What chedraks? What does it mean to say something is a chi? Gosh, might that be a mental image? Oh, we have to explore these parts and just ask questions. Just explore as we're walking around our world. Just keep bringing it to the meditation cushion. When you get frustrated, well, before you get frustrated, go on to another topic. Don't push. It will come. Keep trying. Help other people to understand complicated topics and dedicate it towards being able to see Chi Chedra. I hope that wasn't all too fast for you, lovely and wonderful and extraordinary live translators. So I'm way over now. So I will leave before we dedicate, but please, 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 please dedicate the karma you've created through being here today, through us being together. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your patience with me, that you still come back, even though I always go over time. Thank you so much. May you realize all your highest wishes. See you on Wednesday next week.
Thank you so much. We love you.
I love you too. Okay, have a good sleep, all of you on the other side of the planet.